Me when I'm about to rewatch all of Daredevil Season 3 just to consume this one scene.
This will take some time.
Hello all you lovely people. A while ago, Martin Scorsese said in an interview, quote, "Marvel films are more like theme park rides than actual movies." Now, of course, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and I'm not here to tell him that he's completely wrong in that assessment, but something about that quote just didn't sit right with me. I thought about it for weeks on end, and it finally snapped why that quote didn't work with me. It's because Martin Scorsese never saw this scene. A scene is nothing without context, but I'll make this recap quick because it's just meant as a little catch-me-up for the people unfamiliar with the Daredevil brand. Wilson Fisk, before the start of the series, was the kingpin of the underworld in Hell's Kitchen. That is until Matthew Murdock, otherwise known as the Daredevil, came along and kind of shook things up. At the end of Season 1, Wilson Fisk is captured and brought to the prison by the FBI. And in the process, unfortunately, has to exile his lover, Vanessa, seen here, into Europe to avoid her from being captured. Season 2, would you believe it, has Wilson Fisk behind bars. Two major things happen in Season 2. One, Wilson Fisk starts to rebuild his empire by way of corrupting the prison system. And two, Wilson Fisk starts to corrupt the FBI by using blackmail. Now that you're all caught up, let's get to Season 3. The first scene we have of the Kingpin behind bars in Season 3 is showing him making a meal. This shows that although he's starting to grow used to his less luxurious lifestyle, he still retains that upper high class that he was used to outside. As he eats, he's informed by his lawyers that Vanessa cannot return to the country lest she be arrested by the FBI. Kingpin, seeing an opportunity to kill two birds with one stone, agrees fully to collude with the authorities. By doing this, he will A, free up Vanessa to return to the States, and will B, be taking out a rival gang syndicate known as the Albanians so he can further expand his own illegal operations. Wilson Fisk, never being a man to slow down when he starts to build up momentum, then says to himself, "I wonder if I can kill a third bird with this stone." This third bird is a move from inside the prison cell walls into a luxurious penthouse in the city. To accomplish this goal, Fisk hires a hit out on himself in the prison. This causes his FBI contacts to panic and be forced to move him to a new safe location, which just happens to be that apartment building which he owns. To keep their informant alive, the authorities move Wilson Fisk in a massive convoy through the city to the penthouse. On the way there, Wilson Fisk's convoy is attacked by the Albanian crime syndicate he had been snitching on. The Albanians prove successful in their attack, and all that's left to do now is kill the man himself. But what's that? A shadowy figure in the distance? Who could that be? And how does he throw with such pinpoint accuracy? Not all men are born equal. Some are strong, others are devilishly handsome, and others still have the most attuned eyesight this side of the Mississippi. Benjamin Poindexter, or Dex as I will be referring to in this video, is a former Army veteran who, after being deployed in Iraq, was hired by the FBI. Dex is ruthless in his takedown of crime syndicates. Two Albanian goons offer surrender, but neither are given quarter. Instead, Dex captures the Kingpin and moves him to the safe house, starting a new beautiful relationship. On his first day in his fully monitored penthouse, his lawyers inform him that Vanessa has gone into hiding because her escort chose to move her across country. Meanwhile, Dex is assigned as the head authority in Kingpin's jail cell. Although it's never stated, it's quite clear to me at least that the Kingpin organized this little bit himself. While eating, Kingpin tries to seduce his personal guard, but Dex rebuffs his advances. Still, Kingpin remains quite curious about the little hitman. In the next scene, we get a one-on-one with Dexter himself, but this also serves as an excellent psychological evaluation because he's being evaluated by a therapist who will deem whether or not he's fit to go back into the field. While being assessed, we hear talk of Dex's coping mechanism, a lovely little girl by the name of Julie. Now, we don't learn a lot about Julie, just that they've been seeing each other for a while, and that she's a very organized and very nice lady. But then at the end of the episode, we find out that they're not actually dating. He's her stalker. Episode 4 has two major things happen. One, Matthew Murdock, as seen here, goes undercover in the prison complex to see if he can't figure out how Wilson Fisk is still manipulating the underground. And two, Wilson Fisk sends a bunch of goons to kill him. Unfortunately for the Kingpin, Matthew Murdock survives the attempt on his life, but now Kingpin knows that he'll need some bigger and badder henchmen if he's to take out the blinded vigilante. While that's happening, Dexter is informed that he's being investigated by the higher-ups at the FBI. Last time I used that joke. Because the battle autopsy did not match the report he gave. The FBI, only having one witness to the battle, interview Kingpin about what he saw, and Kingpin fully cooperates with Dexter's side of the story. Dexter, not being one for backdoor dealings, says that he wants nothing to do with Kingpin's favors. But Kingpin says he doesn't want any favors, he just doesn't want the press making fun of such a good federal agent. Which has Dex going, alright fam, I get you. But we're not friends. In the next episode, Fisk's lawyer insists that he start getting some of his cooperation items in advance. Some supervised movement around the hotel, maybe some items returned, and some other luxuries to a prisoner. But Fisk says no to them. Not because he doesn't want those items back, because trust me, he wants those items back. I mean, look at the poor guy. He hasn't stared at drywall for almost a week. The Kingpin wants less, so that way Dexter here won't feel as bad about helping him out with his criminal operation. And as the cherry on top of it all, Kingpin implies that Matthew Murdock is actually a criminal to make Dexter feel less bad about beating the living Christ out of him. We are finally here, baby! Please, go watch this scene if you haven't already. Season 3, Episode 5, 14 minutes, 50 seconds. You don't need the context of anything Marvel or anything Daredevil. Just go watch the scene, it's so good. Before the scene begins, Kingpin here ordered his lawyer Donovan to go collect as much information about Dexter as he possibly could. What he digs up are transcripts from every therapy session Dexter has attended since he was a child. As Kingpin reads the transcripts, he starts to get sucked into the world of Benjamin Poindexter, a world of pure black and white. What Wilson starts to imagine is a boy growing up in an orphanage whilst also having severe psychological issues. Little Poindexter here is the star pitcher on a Little League team. He practices and trains all day, every day, and hopes if he pitches the perfect game, he'll finally get his parents to come back. But moments before he can achieve his dream, his coach pulls him so that way another kid can have a turn. And Benjamin hates that. In the next scene, we see Poindexter with his newly assigned therapist, Dr. Mercer. Now, Dr. Mercer knows that Dex is troubled immediately upon seeing him. But instead of allowing the boy to process his emotions and feelings, she instructs him to repress them. Dr. Mercer instructs the boy to stick to a rigid schedule where he wouldn't have much time to deviate from his day-to-day thoughts. Now, in order to keep him from bubbling over just in case of an emotional outbreak, she records all of their therapy sessions so that way he can listen to them in moments of struggle. While going through memory lane, we find out that Dexter and Julie met at a suicide hotline where he fell in love with her work ethic and scheduling. Dex, being a bit socially introverted, never makes a move with his feelings, but he does retain his feelings for her throughout the years. Kingpin, now knowing which treat his dog needs to perform tricks, formulates a plan illustrated perfectly by this picture. On one hand, we have Julie just trying to live her average life. On the other, we have her stalker, Dexter, just trying to observe her, never really planning on intruding. And in between, we now have the Kingpin, who plans to keep them apart and put them together just as he needs. And that's it. That's my one marvelous scene. Now, the scene does kind of go on in terms of showing the aftermath of what Kingpin's plan is, but really that's it for my one marvelous scene. Then there's the rest of season 3. They set up this thing with Kingpin becoming Dex's father, and it doesn't really go anywhere, nor is it really kept throughout the rest of the season. And then Julie is killed, but it doesn't really lead to anything. Kingpin's plan seems to be to make Dex really angry, but at this point in time, there's no real point in getting him super angry, being that he was already on board. And then Dex finds Julie's frozen body, which is hilarious because it kind of implies that Kingpin had a backup plan in case he went rogue of putting together a team of ventriloquists and puppeteers to maneuver Julie around to be like, no, Dex, don't kill the Kingpin. He's been so kind to me. Which I think is brilliant, truly a Kingpin masterminded plan. But enough of Julie, and enough of nitpicking as well. Because at the end of the day, I'm gonna be rewatching Daredevil Season 3 again, because when I get to this scene, it's something else entirely. There's just something so once in a lifetime about it. Something that I just don't feel like we're ever gonna see ever again. And thank you so much for watching.